Hello, my name is Jermaine Smith, and today I would like to talk to you about the English language. English is one of the hardest languages on the entire planet, but everybody everywhere is starting to learn it, and they have to learn it. They don't have a choice because, you know, English is just becoming the dominant language for the entire planet. You know, they're speaking it everywhere with business transactions. You know, they're teaching in schools. It's just becoming a necessity. And, you know, since it's such a hard language, a lot of us struggle when we first learn it. That's why I feel like, you know, growing up in an English-speaking country, you're really, really lucky that English is your first language. So, the subject that I would like to talk about today in depth would be the irregularities in English verbs. Just the verbs by themselves in English can be very, very confusing when you first learn them. Sometimes, you know, one verb can have different, how am I going to say this? One verb can have its infinitive form, like to go, and then in a different tense, it becomes a completely different word with a completely different sound. So, I go, I went. Those are two different words. Very, very confusing. But then, you know, we have words like to be that are just all over the place, even worse than the word to go. But to be is one of the craziest verbs in any language, no matter where you are or what it is. It's one of the worst verbs to learn. It just has so many different properties to it. But what I want to do is start really, really simple. So for irregular verbs, I'm going to start with to have and to give. Okay? So the way that I'm going to do things is I'm going to go from the first person to the second person, singular. Then the third person. And when we have the third person, we're going to have singular and plural separately. Then we're going to go to the second person plural. So we have I, you, he or she or it, and then we have they, and then we have we. Okay? So, for the present form, present tense of to have, we would say I has in singular first person. We would say you have for singular second person. Then we would say he or she has or it has in singular third person. So, right off the bat there, we have the verb to have from the infinitive, the original word that you see it as, so you think the word to have. It stays have for I have and you have, but then when we say he, she, or it has, he, she, or it has, it becomes has. It changes from have to has. So that would definitely cross some people up when they're first learning. So next we have the third person singular, which would still be, oh, that was it, sorry. I'm talking about the third person plural. That becomes they have again. So it switches back from I have, you have, they have. So we wouldn't say they has. That would just sound really weird. But people say it. Americans say it. And then we would have we have again for the first person plural. Now, have is a really cool verb because it's a helping verb, so we see it in everywhere else in other tense. I believe it's called the past progressive. So we would say we have written, for instance. So I'm going to be using the verb to have over and over within this little lecture here. So next off, next off we have the verb to give. Now give acts similar to have, but you know, it's like every verb in English is different. So we would say I give, you give. Then in the third person we add an S. So we would say he, she, or it gives. Then we would say they give and we give. Okay? So we just add a little S on the third person singular there. Not too bad. Oh, I didn't go over the... Okay, well, we'll go back to it. So we're just going to do present tense for now for these three verbs. Sorry. So if we're going to go right down the list, present tense for the word to write. So I write, she writes, you write, we write, they write. So there's a real common kind of a pattern with these verbs. So when we have the third person, we just add an S. Okay, so now we're going to go change things up a little bit when we go to the past tense. So for to have, we would say I used to have. I think that's a completely different tense, but let's see, I have, I had, oh, there we go. Past tense is I had. So have goes from has, it goes from have to had. So I had matches with I have. So present, past. And present we have, for you, we would have you have, you had. For third person singular, we would have I had, or they has, they have. Oh my gosh, I'm confusing myself. See, it's confusing. For third person singular, we had she has. Now we have she had. So it's not too bad in that verb. Then we have, they had. Not too bad. So now we go to give. We've got give and gave. So I give, I gave. You give, you gave. She gives, she gave. So we take the S off on the third person singular there. So there's another little rule. You know, things come and go. They contradict each other sometimes. So you might think that in one tense there's an S, then you're going to think, oh, well, in another tense there should be an S, right? Not all the time. Probably not ever. You might see it somewhere, but I really can't think of the example right off the top of my head. It's somewhere in the English language, I bet. So, you give, you gave. She gives, she gave. They give, they gave. We give, we gave. Now for write, we have I write, then we go to I wrote. So there's a little what's it called? There's a vowel change. Sorry, I'm trying to think of these words. There's a vowel change there. So the I becomes an O. Write, wrote. So I write, I wrote. You write, you wrote. She writes, she wrote. They write, they wrote. We write, we wrote. Okay. So I'm going to cut off from have and just go from give and write, to give and to write for this next one. So we got passive aggressive, where we take have and we put it in front of the word as a helping verb. So, so that's how we do it. See, I'm learning more about English just going through this right now. So if I wanted to have passive aggressive, no, that's not passive aggressive. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, so what were we originally doing? We've got the word given. So passive aggressive, I have given. We're adding another verb. So there's two verbs for one verb there. So I have given, she has given. So the verb is, in this tense, it's kind of reflecting the original verb, the original infinitive. So we have give, to give becomes I have given. Okay, so it's a little bit easier, just the fact that they're adding another word to say something different. And that happens in languages all over, you know? But we have to learn those things. Next off, we have write, wrote, then I have written. Now, that's a very, very interesting change. Written, from write to written. I mean, it might seem normal to us because we say it every day, but to someone else, that looks intense. That's crazy. So I write, I wrote, I have written. The vowels are changing throughout the entire verb. So like with give, gave, given, from give to given, the vowel's changing the same, or it's staying the same. For write, we're saying I write, then we're saying written, writ. So write, wrote, written. Usually, for, I mean, just verbal conjugations in general, vowels don't change that much. But right here, they do, all over the place. So we've got write, wrote, and written. And then we add noun. And that's all types of morphology that is so in-depth that that would be a whole different lesson, you know. But for the sake of time, I want to go into the actual nitty-gritty stuff. So the really hard ones, you've got to go and to be. Now, to go is easier than to be, obviously. So we're going to do that one first. To go is a really, really confusing one because from tense to tense, you're literally changing words. So we would say, I go, then in past we would say, I went. So verbally, they're the same word. They are not different words. But in general, go and went are they're two different words. They have two different spellings, they have two different sounds in general. They're two different words, but they are the same entity. So when you're reading things for the first time, you might not understand how, or you're reading and writing, you gotta put them together, you know. How are go and went the same thing? Just have to accept it. That's the English. And English is a very, very mean language. So, we have, in the present tense, I go, you go, he or she or it goes. So we add the S there, as usual. Then they go and we go. Okay? Straightforward. You know? It's keeping the infinitive form, to go. So the infinitive, by the way, is the to X version. So it'd be to go, to be, to give. Those are the infinitives of verbs, the infinitive forms. So we had that. Now we switch over to past tense, where we say I went, you went, she, he, or it went, they went, and we went. a completely different word. I believe it's a similar change to the verb to go in Spanish and the verb to go in French, Romance languages. There's a very similar change in the verb that's very, very drastic and very confusing when you switch tenses like that. So now when we go to the past progressive, we say, I have gone. So it's a little bit easier, but like I said, you're adding another word to give it a different meaning. So I suppose that, the worst part about that is just the fact that you're just changing words, and the words change so much. But the verb to go is not as bad as the verb to be. So, to get into to be, we have, excuse me, well, anyway, for the verb to go, or for the verb to be, we have, right from the get-go, we have completely different words. So you think that, in the present tense, in the most commonly used tense, we've got, it's going to be as close to the infinitive as possible. This is the complete opposite. It's going to be a completely different word. So, English speakers, you never think about it, but when you say I am, you're really just saying I be, technically. So am, or are, that's a be, to be. So we wouldn't say I be, obviously, that's really that's awful English. But we would say I am, you are, and then it switches when we get to third person, singular, it becomes he, she, or it is, okay? And then we have they are and we are. So then, those are more words to learn. I'm getting tongue-tied here. Those are more words to learn there. So you have to remember, to be, you have to remember that it becomes I am, then there's you are, we are, and they are. So we have am, are, then we randomly have is. Very, very confusing. Now, once we get into the past tense, we're going to get confused again because the rules are just completely all over the place. We would say, I was. So I was, you were, he, she, or it was, they were, and then we were. So we've got was, were, and what did I say? I was, we were, they were, yeah. Changes all over the place. What's up with that? And then we get into the past progressive. Crazy, crazy stuff. It goes back to, I think that's one of the first places where it actually acts like the infinitive. We would say I have been, or she has been. So be and been, they kind of reflect each other, but anywhere else, they're like adopted siblings or something. Think about to be as the parent that just adopts all these random kids, and it's just a really, really colorful family. Different rules and different personalities for one family to be. So, I know I was really wishy-washy, but when you think about it from a native speaker standpoint, English is, it's automatic to us, but for other people, it's not. It's confusing. It's like a 1,000-piece puzzle that has no real picture to look at to see where you're going. So it's just kind of like people are telling you this is how things are and you have to accept them. And you're going to go through words that you might be reading words when you're first learning English that look like something, but they're not what you think they are, with silent letters and all that stuff. And then, especially with the with vowels. The vowels and spellings in English do not really play any rules when you're reading and writing, or they don't show that there's a rule there. Like we might have write and written. You might see the I, but we don't see, like, I don't know. Let's say we would say W-A-Y-T-E. W-R-A-Y-T-E, sorry. So that would be right. And then for written, we would say W-R-I-T-T-E-N. Written. It doesn't work that way. It's going to be W-R-I-T-E and then W-R-I-T-T-E-N. There are two different vowel sounds, but they're not telling you that they're different. You know, you just have to know. So vocabulary is key. I mean, vocabulary is key learning any language. But that's besides the point. That would be a different lesson for a different day. So, just trying to stay on topic. I'd like to say thank you for listening to me ramble for 20 minutes. I hope that it was educational to whoever is watching this. I'd like to say thanks for the opportunities that you're giving me. And hope to see you soon. Maybe I can give you another quick lesson on English from a native standpoint. So I'm going to sign off here, and I hope that everybody has a great day.